My name is Evelyn Hart, and I am 30 years old. I grew up in the quiet countryside of Yorkshire, far away from the chaos of big cities, never imagining that my life would someday turn into a storm of unanswered questions and unbearable pain. For the longest time, I thought I was blessed. I had a job I loved as a freelance illustrator, a small circle of loyal friends, and most importantly, a husband I believed was the very definition of loyalty and love. His name was Adrian Cross. Tall, dark-haired, with an intensity in his blue eyes that could silence a crowded room. The moment I met him at a charity auction in London, I thought the universe had conspired to bring us together. He was charming, witty, and seemed to understand me in ways nobody else had. I was 24 when I married him, starry-eyed and convinced that fairy tales were real. For 6 years, I lived in that fairy tale until the cracks began to show. It started subtly. Adrian, who used to call me in the middle of the day just to ask if I'd eaten, suddenly became unreachable for hours. His business trips became longer, his explanations shorter, and his smiles felt rehearsed. One evening, as I set the dinner table, I noticed something peculiar. He had left his phone on the counter while taking a shower. Normally, I never checked it. I trusted him with every fiber of my being. But that day, curiosity, or maybe fear, crept in. A single notification popped up. "Can't wait to see you again. Last night was unforgettable." My hands went cold. My legs felt weak beneath me. Who was Why was she sending him messages like that? I wanted to believe it was a mistake, a joke, perhaps even a spam text. But the way his phone was locked, the way he snatched it the moment he came out of the bathroom, his guarded expression, it all screamed something else. That night, I tried to confront him. "Adrian, is everything okay between us?" I asked, my voice trembling. He glanced at me with tired eyes, forcing a smile. "Of course. Why would you even ask that? I just feel distant. You're not here even when you're home." He sighed, pulled me into his arms, and kissed my forehead. "I'm just stressed with work, Evelyn. You worry too much." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to erase that message from my mind. So, I buried the suspicion deep inside and told myself that maybe I was imagining things. After all, wasn't marriage about trust? But the universe has a cruel way of revealing truths. 2 weeks later, my best friend Clara Hastings invited me for coffee. Clara had been my confidante since university, bold and unafraid to speak her mind. That morning, her face carried hesitation. "Evelyn, I don't know how to say this, but people have been talking," she whispered. "Talking about what?" I asked. "About Adrian. Someone saw him at the St. Regis Hotel, with a woman. They said he looked intimate with her." The world around me blurred. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "No," I shook my head. "Adrian would never do that. It's just a rumor." Clara reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "I pray it is. But you deserve to know if it isn't." Her words planted a poison in my veins. The very next week, Adrian claimed he had a late-night meeting at the office. My instincts screamed otherwise. I decided to follow him. My hands trembled as I drove, keeping my headlights dimmed, my heart pounding so loudly it drowned the sound of traffic. He didn't turn towards his office. Instead, his car disappeared into the glowing entrance of the St. Regis Hotel. I parked at a distance and watched him step out, adjusting his suit. Then, she appeared. A woman with cascading auburn hair, dressed in an emerald dress that shimmered under the lights. She looked like she belonged to a different world, glamorous, confident, dangerous. Adrian placed his hand on her lower back as they walked in together. My stomach twisted. My chest burned. Tears blurred my vision, but I forced myself to stay. I waited in my car for hours, numb, my fingers digging into the steering wheel until they ached. When they finally came out past midnight, laughing, their bodies close, I felt my soul shatter. When Adrian returned home, I pretended to be asleep. His scent was different that night, expensive perfume, not mine. The next morning, he kissed my cheek and said, "The meeting went well. I think it'll open new doors for the company." I smiled, but inside I was screaming. How could he look me in the eye and lie so effortlessly? From that night on, nothing was the same. I became a ghost in my own marriage, haunted by images of him with her. Every time his phone buzzed, my chest tightened. Every time he smiled at me, I wondered if that smile had been hers first. I started keeping a journal, pages filled with my doubts, my anger, my grief. Each entry was a silent scream: did my husband really cheat, or am I losing my mind? But deep down, I knew the answer. One evening, as I did the laundry, I found a hotel receipt tucked inside his jacket pocket. Room 502. One night stay. I sat on the floor of the laundry room, clutching the slip of paper, unable to breathe. My vision swam as reality slapped me harder than ever before. This wasn't just suspicion. This was proof. Yet, I couldn't bring myself to confront him. The fear of hearing the truth was heavier than the comfort of denial. Clara noticed my pale face and hollow eyes. "You need to face him, Evelyn. You can't live like this," she urged. But my voice cracked as I whispered, "What if the truth destroys me?" She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Then at least you'll know. Living in half-light is worse." Her words echoed in my soul, but I still wasn't ready. Fate didn't wait for me to gather courage. A week later, I saw her again. The same woman. The auburn-haired beauty in green. This time, in broad daylight, entering a cafe downtown. Adrian was right behind her, wearing the same secret smile I used to believe belonged only to me. I froze across the street, my heart crumbling piece by piece. Seeing Adrian with the auburn-haired woman in broad daylight shattered the last thread of denial I was clinging to. I couldn't breathe, couldn't move. My body trembled as if the ground beneath me had collapsed. When I finally stumbled back home, I collapsed onto the bedroom floor and cried until no sound came out. My chest burned, my eyes stung, but the pain inside me was far worse than anything physical. That night, when Adrian returned, I finally asked, "Who is she?" His entire body stiffened. "Who?" he asked too quickly, too defensively. "The woman you were with today. The one you meet at hotels. The one who texts you about unforgettable nights. Don't lie to me anymore, Adrian." His face darkened. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing the room like a caged animal. "You've been spying on me." "I had to," I whispered, tears choking my voice. "Because the man I married is no longer the man I live with." "Tell me the truth. Did my husband really cheat?" For a long moment, silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. Then, he muttered, "It's complicated." My heart sank. Complicated meant guilty. The woman's name was Serena Vale. She wasn't just some stranger. She was Adrian's former colleague. According to him, they had reconnected by chance during a business conference. One dinner turned into two, and soon they were meeting in secret. "I didn't mean for it to happen," Adrian said, his voice low, shame dripping from every word. "You and we grew distant." I felt misunderstood, and she listened. I stared at him in disbelief. "So, because you felt lonely, you decided to break our vows to break me." His eyes glistened with something regret, maybe, but it was too late. The dagger was already buried deep inside me. "I still love you, Evelyn," he whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." I laughed bitterly through my tears. "You love me? Do you even know what love means?" I thought the truth would set me free, but it only chained me to endless nights of agony. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Adrian and Serena together, laughing, touching, betraying me. I tried to act normal in front of others. At gatherings, I wore my brightest smile. But inside, I was hollow. Clara begged me to leave him. "You can't keep living like this, Evelyn. He's broken your trust. Walk away before he destroys you completely." "But how do you walk away from the person who is both your comfort and your curse?" Weeks later, I gave him an ultimatum. "It's either her or me, Adrian. You can't have both." He stared at me with tortured eyes, silence stretching between us like a blade. And then, he whispered, "I don't know if I can let her go." Those words killed me more than the affair itself. I wasn't enough anymore. One stormy night, I found a letter on his desk. It wasn't meant for me, it was a draft, unsent, but the words burned into my soul. "Serena, you make me feel alive in ways I haven't felt in years. With you, I can breathe again. I don't know how long I can keep lying to Evelyn. She deserves better, but my heart is no longer hers." I dropped the paper, my hands shaking uncontrollably. My breath came out in shallow gasps. That was the night I stopped being Evelyn Hart, the wife who believed in love. That was the night I became a ghost of myself. I needed answers. I needed to look into the eyes of the woman who had stolen my life. I found her outside a gallery downtown, elegant and radiant in her emerald dress. My voice cracked as I approached. "Why him? Why my husband?" Serena's lips curved into a smile that wasn't cruel, but it wasn't kind either. "I didn't steal him, Evelyn. He came to me. He made his choice." Those words crushed me. I walked away, feeling like my body was filled with glass shards. One morning, Adrian packed a suitcase. He didn't look at me when he spoke. "I need time to figure things out." But I knew the truth. Time wasn't what he needed. He needed her. He left, and the silence he left behind was louder than any fight we ever had. I waited days, weeks, hoping he would return. Hoping he would realize I was worth fighting for. But instead, I received divorce papers in the mail. No explanation. No closure. Just the cold stamp of an ending. I signed them with trembling hands. And just like that, 6 years of love, promises, laughter, and dreams ended with ink on paper. I spiraled after that. Nights became endless voids of tears. Food lost its taste, colors lost their meaning. Clara stayed by my side, but even her warmth couldn't reach the frozen wasteland inside me. Sometimes, I stood by the window, watching the rain slide down the glass, wondering if Adrian ever thought of me. Wondering if Serena was worth the ruins of my soul. It's been a year now. I never saw Adrian again. He moved away with Serena, building a new life while mine remains in ashes. People tell me to move on, to find someone else, to start over. But how do you start over when your heart has been torn into pieces that can never be mended? Every night, I ask myself the same question that began this nightmare: did my husband really cheat? The answer is yes. But what hurts more is not the betrayal itself, it's the realization that I loved a man who chose to destroy me. And so, here I am, a broken woman with a hollow smile, living proof that sometimes love doesn't just fade, it kills you slowly, leaving you alive enough to feel every wound.